Now we are here in Now. We're coming through Zoom today because sometimes it's just nice to have a bit of a change, and it's what you are used to. So if you want to come on these 15-minute interviews with me, Lindsay, I am the founder and organizer of Now, then you've got a choice between StreamYard and Zoom, and in fact anything else, because I'm always up for learning. So welcome to the 13th, no, it's the 14th episode of It's All About You. And these 15-minute broadcasts are literally that. It's all about you, the members of Now. It's getting to know you, getting to know your business, just that little bit of know, like, and trust, which is so important in a business today. It's who you want to connect with. So for today, we have Linda Wood. And I'm not going to explain what Linda does because, to be honest, it's up to Linda. So, Linda, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, hi, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Thanks very much for having me on. Yeah, I'm Linda Wood, and just a little bit about myself before I say what I do. I'm based down in South London, so I'm quite a long way from where a lot of you are. I know that you have a very vibrant community up in and around where you are, Lindsay. I'm a little bit jealous that I can't get to your network, I have to say.
Oh, wow.
So I'm down in South London most of the time. Surrey, it's a Surrey address, but South London borough, so I get sort of like a mixture of the environment there and a mixture of people as well that live there. I live with Bob and our two, I can't say boys anymore, they're men, but aged 18 and 21, so I'm surrounded by big feet and, you know, lolloping people. I've got two cats, one of which is completely crazy. I live and work from home now. And that was quite different from my life a few years ago, which I'll cover a little bit later. Now I work with people face to face, in groups, individually, but also online across the world. And what I do is I'm a coach and a trainer and an energy healer. So some of those things are easier to do face to face than the other ways. And I'm also the founder of another Facebook group called the Women's Confidence and Clarity Network, which is, you know, a place for people that ideally would like to work with me at some stage, but it's really to give people support that are really struggling with their emotional issues. So I call myself an emotional well-being coach because I kind of think that captures a lot of what I do, but I don't know if it's perfect yet. I think I'm always going to be on a bit of a journey, and my business is part of that. So when I started up doing what I do now, which is just over 2 years ago, I didn't really have great clarity about who I wanted to work with, what I wanted to do, but I knew predominantly it would be women. And that's because I can relate to women's issues much more, but also in my career, I've seen so much unfairness and women just not getting what they deserve in terms of promotion or support or even being listened to. And I've experienced that myself, and it's so frustrating. So I kind of thought women. So I work with very busy professional women, one-to-one and in groups, maybe sometimes in workplace, covering issues, and sometimes the workplace teamwork is mixed. You know, I'm not averse to working with men. I don't say no men allowed, and I have coached men one-to-one as well, but my main target is women. But what's crept in as well, which is a real passion of mine, is working with women who really are going through the worst of times or have just escaped from the worst of times. So I do quite a lot of work, not for a great deal of money, I have to say, but it's kind of stuff I'm driven to do with some charities and women's centres, and also a local women's refuge where I go in and I run workshops. I don't know if you'd have heard of the Freedom Programme, which is kind of a national programme that runs, lots of people run it, but usually these centres where they're dealing with women that have escaped from domestic violence and abuse. The Freedom Programme is generally run sort of like an 8-week or 6-week programme, depends how they're going to run it, teaching people or explaining about the types of relationships they might have encountered and how to deal with those difficult personalities they might have encountered, and also to make them feel better that they're not to blame for the situation they've been in. Now, with some of the charities where they run it, asked me to go in and do an extra 2 bolt-on sessions at the end of the Freedom Programme, one looking at how to handle change, because a lot of them escaped these relationships and they've escaped with nothing, including their own identity sometimes. You know, they really are raw.
Yeah.
So I do a session on handling change, but also a session on confidence, and it really explores who they are and why they have got the answers within, why they have got inner strength, how proud they should be of themselves at this situation, because they're moving on. So however they feel inside. So that's kind of a mixture of the people I work with. I also run some programs, 3 weekly and 6 weekly programs, just a session a week with some of these organisations, and that's to help people sort out the mess that they've got into if they think that their life isn't serving them, and how to move forward with that. And the other one is focusing on them, about getting healthier, about getting calmer. And I have a lifestyle topic type intervention that sounds very non-threatening, so it might be healthy eating, but then I move into issues around mindset and why we think and feel the way that we do, because that's my real bit. That's where I want to come at all of this from, because stress and anxiety and all of the things that we go through influence how we behave every day and in the moment. So I've always been, I think I've been living with stress since I was a very young child. And I don't think I'm that unusual, but I didn't know it. And I just thought, as I've grown up, I mean, I had a normal childhood. I wasn't abused or anything like that. I mean, parents were hardworking and very ambitious for both me and my brother to do well at school and make something of ourselves. And I was a sort of child that took things on quite seriously. It was a bit of a, okay, then I'll do my best, you know, and always have done my best and tried to do really well at school. I went to a all-girls grammar school. It's still one of the top 10 in England. I don't know if it's the whole of UK, but in terms of performance. And not a private school, you know, so just a normal school, but very high performing. And if you didn't actually get, I think it was about 7 GCSEs, as it were now called, but at a high grade, you didn't exist as far as the school records showed. It was sort of like you were a non-entity, didn't count. So, you know, everybody had to do really well. So I think that's where it all started for me, just having that anxious knot in my, you know, I always carried it about here. People carry it in different places. And I've always been fascinated in energy and how the world works and how things all tie together, but I just didn't realise I was carrying this extra energy that wasn't part of me, wasn't how I needed to be and how I needed to feel. So I think all the way through my career, I've been on a sort of journey, because I've always been looking for something. I think it was kind of an answer and a calmness I was looking for, but I didn't know that. Instead, I put my energy into doing extra well. Wherever I went, I had to be looking at the next level, the next opportunity for an upgrade and more responsibility, taking on more and more all the time, because I thought that's what you do. You know, you'll be successful one day and wanting to make people proud, but really fighting to make myself proud as well, because I didn't feel proud of myself. I wouldn't say I've had an unhappy life at all. I've had times when, you know, it's been absolutely wonderful. But when I look back now, I think a lot of it has been hard work. It's been hard graft. But I've had lots of interesting things, and I have gone after different opportunities. So just as a real lightning tour, I started off as an environmental health officer because I wanted to change the world, and I was so interested in the planet and how people behave in the environment and what impact we have, and then how we behave and think. Then I moved more into health promotion, health policy, and working with people on their health behaviours and doing multi-agency working with everybody to have more impact. Then more into a bit more marketing and customer care, then into service redesign in the public sector. Looking at, you know, how to put the customer right at the centre. There was a big movement at one point, putting this customer in the centre of everything we do. Well, that didn't really work, because it always comes down to money and making it go as far as possible in the public sector. But, you know, it's a lovely emphasis. But customer care and all of that kind of great stuff. but communications, making things clear and accessible to people, helping them understand their rights and get what they needed in terms of the support. Then I went much more into project management and redesigning the services to make them more accessible, and gradually that went deeper and deeper, and I ended up heading up a multi-million, £140 million programme, which I had to design how it was going to be delivered across a massive area. And I'd previously been working with lots of emergency services. It's like police, fire and ambulance, how they can all join up. So I've had some very interesting environments I've worked in, and some great colleagues and amazing things. But at the end, the programme I was working in meant that I was living away from home during the week, which was a great adventure to start with, because it was almost like my husband and I have always wanted to move to the coast ultimately. And this job was nearer the coast. So it was like, well, if this works out, then we'll move. But the kids, our boys, were going through their exams at the time. So it was a bit of a wrench, oh, should I leave them, and mum guilt and all of this. But they actually did fine without me there. I would have probably been the stressy one. Have you been revising enough? You know, get on with it. Why are you like, because they're so chilled, all of them. I'm the one that was always been stressing. So I go off each week, leaving home at about 5 on a Monday morning. I'd work from home on a Friday, but I'd get back about 8 or 9 on a Thursday night. I was exhausted.
Wow.
The job was high pressure, but it also became something, it was about stripping money out of the public sector. And as it was evolving, I realised it was going to be hurting the most vulnerable people in society, because they wouldn't be able to access the services. And it was so against my personal values. Oh, excuse the rain, it's getting louder and louder here. You hear it?
Just a little bit, not too much. No, it's lovely.
Yeah, so I realised I was isolated, I was getting more stressed, the job was really high pressure, high profile, and I was working with somebody who we could loosely call a bully, I think. On top of that, then my dad, who was on palliative care, was given 3 months to live, and I was not able to get down to support my parents. I'm actually at my mum's now. My dad has since passed, died last November, but we actually had another 2.5 years of his company. But at the time, he was given 3 months, and I just thought, I cannot not be able to help them now. So things had to change. So that's when I made big changes in my life, which hopefully, you know, I can help other people do through my business now. But I didn't know how I was going to do it. I've always been coaching and mentoring people. I've always trained alongside whatever I'm doing, but particularly working with women who are coming up through the ranks in the organisations or around the work that I was delivering. If they, you know, because the roles I had, people turn up, oh, Linda, this is all going pear-shaped. I don't know what to do. And okay, right, let's break this down. And I wouldn't say, right, go and do this, go and do that, which I could, because I knew what they needed to do, but it would be a more coaching and to working with them and bringing out the best in them. Absolutely. So I thought, well, it's coaching that I want to get into, and working with people, helping them shine and do things for themselves. So it's kind of found me. Oh, I haven't mentioned energy either, because I became a Reiki master back in 2000, because I've always been interested in the energy of things and health and how our bodies work. So I did that, and I also did crystal therapy training with Judy Hall, who's the author of the Crystal Bible and various other books, an amazing woman. So I've always been fascinated with these things and how it all works. But it's been more latterly that I came across a new way of coaching, because when I've gone up through my career, I've always put extra pressure on myself by having to take new qualifications and studying and trying to prove that I knew my stuff, because I always felt a bit vulnerable, and that imposter syndrome was always a few steps behind me, biting at my butt. And
we do, absolutely, yes. I'm going to have to just sort of just stop you at that point, and because with our time, we keep it to 15 minutes. And do you know what I'm hearing is somebody who is strong, who's courageous, who's got through so much. Not the word isn't bitterness. The word is a life, you know, that we can all relate to, but how you've come out of it, how you've seen the positive impact of what it is that you've learned there. And you're able to bring this into your business because you have that experience. That's wonderful. So I'm going to ask you very quickly, actually, I don't think we have the time to ask you this question, but let's just do it anyhow. What do you think has been the biggest change that has happened to you in the last few years? Very quickly.
Very, very quickly. Since I quit what I was doing and started my own business, I've discovered a new approach, which is what I use in my coaching, which is based on thinking. Everything you feel is based on a thought. You can't feel anything without a thought. And for me, that has enabled me to stop feeling anxious for the first time ever, and slow myself right down and accept what is for what it is.
So
and
that's what's changed. That's what's helped you. Just that thought that what you think. Fabulous. That's so wonderful, Linda. I know so much more about you. It's just great. So anybody, if you want to know anything that Linda is doing, and also if you've got any questions for Linda about anything we've talked about and anything that you might think is resonating with you, I'm sure Linda would love to be able to answer your questions. Just send her a message. So I'm going to very quickly love you, leave you, and not give you all the usual spew at the end of this, because we have gone over our 15 minutes. We'll get it right. Many, many days yet left. So I'm going to love you and leave you, everybody in the Now group. We'll catch you again tomorrow. Bye for now.